can't quite believe it, but January this year marked the 5-year anniversary of us moving to this new house. So I'm going to show you how we turned this into this. We have to go all the way back to February 2021. I am down in the outbuilding, the garage, and I'm really sorry I didn't get an empty view of this. This is what we're working with. So Mum and I have just been down here telling Dad where we'd like the plugs and the sockets and things so that we can kind of make an informed decision about where everything's going to live. As you can see, it's a garage, so the windows are coming out and then a giant window is going to get put in there, and then there's just going to be storage all around the walls, 2 sewing tables in the middle, and I'm really hoping we have enough room for a cutting table that can be up permanently as well. Of course, it wasn't plain sailing. This happened. The garage is coming along, but now has a giant hole in the back. So there was a problem with some damp back there because of the way that the guttering was set up. So they're creating a soakaway, sorry, out the back. But this is what we're going to end up with. This is the insulated wall, which is going to have a waterproof membrane on it as well, and then that's going to get clad over the top. But yeah, it's it's a little terrifying seeing it like this, but we're getting there. Thankfully, all it took was 2 weeks of hard work, not by me, and there were no more holes, except for the giant gaping hole that was left when the garage door was removed. Back down in the outbuilding, the hole has been patched, which is good. New membranes and insulation have gone on to where all the places were rotten, and the garage door is gone. Dad is currently waiting to tell me about some things. And the lighting. There we go. Yep, garage door has gone. 1 week later, we had a wall. The outbuilding sewing room is finally getting its 4th wall. I don't know when the window's coming, but it should be hopefully airtight soon. We have a floor. We have insulated walls. Ceiling needs doing next, but yeah. Oh, and window. It's going to go there, and I've measured this perfectly for drawers and a tabletop to go underneath it. And a few days after that, windows. This is exciting. We have windows. We are in what's going to be the sewing room. The insulation's gone in, these little windows have been taken out. There is a giant window behind me, which I'll show you in a second. This is actually storage for Christmas decorations, believe it or not, because we don't really, the only attic that we've got in the house I've taken up with my sofa. So we've just been in here brushing down the walls to get rid of all the sawdust and cobwebs and stuff like that, brushing down the floor, and we're going to start painting tomorrow afternoon. Our electrician's coming to put in 6 LED panels along the top and then a whole bunch of plugs for us. It's coming along. It doesn't look like much now, but it looks a lot better than it did. Got a nice big window, and this is the washer and dryer that were in my room. They're going to be going into the boiler room, which is that little room there. That's all the aftermath of the carpenters having been here for 2 weeks. But it's warm and dry in here now, which is good. Don't worry about these bits down here. The back wall was letting in moisture and has been completely replaced. These are the MDF boards that were on beforehand, and they are dry, they're just stained. So there isn't moisture leaking up here and here. It's just the staining from the previous incarnation, but it has got a brand new back wall, which was not expected and at great expense, but never mind. We're going to paint over it all and nobody's ever going to see that. So yeah, don't worry, there's no damp. I have to say at this point, I was super worried that it was going to be a teeny tiny dark cupboard. It was not the most inspiring of spaces, that's for sure. I'm afraid I'm on my iPhone, but we have light in here. These are LED panels, which are amazing. It was so dark yesterday, I was a little bit worried. We have also plugs going in. We've kind of realised the electrician was meant to be finished today. That has not happened. So we've realised that we're not going to be moving in this weekend like we thought we were, because it's not been painted as yet, as you can see. So once the electrician has finished, we can then start painting, and we won't need to rush it, and we can have the guys come next weekend to help us move all the furniture down here. It's very exciting. Once we've painted, they can finish the window. So yeah, it's gonna look really good. Then there was painting. Hey peeps, happy Saturday. As a family, we are in the sewing room, which is in need of painting. Yes, I am in my dressing gown because it's the only thing I don't mind getting paint on. It's my old one. We are going to start painting the ceiling and work our way down, I think. So time lapse for you, hard work for us.
Hard work for who?
Us.
Oh.
So much painting. First coat is on. First of probably 3, hopefully not 4. That took us a very long time. A few days and 3 coats later, it was done. The third coat of paint, oh, missed a light, there we go. The third coat of paint has been put on the walls, thankfully by our very lovely gardener, stroke handyman, stroke painter, Vaughan. We didn't have to do it, which was amazing. He's also done the ceiling, which was something that I was really dreading. It's looking really, really good in here. Really good. We're going to be moving in this weekend. It's very exciting. Very exciting indeed. The floor is now empty for floor painting, because that's the next thing that needs to happen. But what a difference it makes. Most of these walls are going to be covered in furniture, so nobody's going to see it, but what a difference this makes. And a week after that, we had a floor. We had to change the colour of the floor because the white paint was just truly awful. But this is a couple of coats of the grey. It's looking really good. Once the floor was dried, we could move our furniture in, which was not without its problems. I managed 3 boxes. Dad has performed a miracle and has found 2 guys that are coming after lunch today to come and do the rest. So I've down tools because I'm knackered after those 3 boxes. This is what Mum and I did yesterday. We got all of these pieces down. They're pretty much where they're going to go. We just need to get some drawers in here so that we can space it properly. Gonna get moved in today, which is so exciting. Good grief. I mean, theoretically, all of the stuff in the brown boxes came out of all the white furniture, so technically it should all go back in, but oh my god. The guys have done an amazing job. I moved some stuff too. You know, like those boxes there, my packing boxes that are empty, I moved those. But just, yeah, we are sort of in. Oh, that's a lot of stuff. So I then proceeded to turn that giant pile of brown boxes into the studio that I lived in for the next sort of 4.5 years. If you want to see more detailed videos of me unpacking and working out where to store stuff and how everything was going together, there are some daily waffles from back in the day, and I will link those up here and also in the description down below. So that was phase 1 complete. And as I say, I lived and worked in here for 4.5 years with only a few tweaks, a few pieces of equipment moved around because there were more logical places for them to be once we had worked in the space a little bit, but for the most part everything worked really well until recently. I decided that there was one corner of this room that just wasn't being utilized correctly, and it's the corner to my left. Okay, having just spent an entire week making all of my fabric look absolutely beautiful. I absolutely love how this looks, and now I don't want to disturb it at all. I have come up with a bright idea that my cover stitch and overlocker, I barely use my cover stitch because it's a pain in the proverbial to get it out to put it into a position where it's usable, because this is my horn cabinet for my big Benina, which is amazing and does have a piece that comes out and attaches, which is where I currently use my overlocker. But if I want to then use the cover stitch machine, I have to move the overlocker, bring the cover stitch machine down. They can't both be set up at the same point. I am aware that this is like a 5-minute job, but in my head that makes it something that just doesn't happen. If you have a look behind, there's actually a chest of drawers here which has some paper crafting stuff in it. I have come up with the idea that if I shuffle around my Calyx and Expedit cubes, because I think actually most of these are Expedit, but if I shuffle these around so that there are some empty cubes in this corner, and Dad has enough spare wood and I have some IKEA table legs, that we can make a desk that goes in this area here, where both the overlocker and cover stitch can be set up permanently. This piece here folds in and tucks on in and lives under there, so this doesn't have to be out. The chair will be able to be moved over, and then both of the machines would be accessible and available all of the time with just one piece of furniture being moved. In my head that makes more sense. What I need to do, because theoretically I can take these drawers out and just move them over to cubby holes, so I don't need to move any furniture. But when you do that, you have to actually drill into your units to mount the thing that has the drawer runners on it. I don't want to leave holes in this one and put new holes in these ones, especially as these are storing fabric, and the particle board can be, you know, leave little chips and splinters and stuff, and I don't want to get fabric snagged on it. So my plan is I need 4 cubes empty by the wall, and back behind here I've got cubes and cubby holes with boxes of trim and stuff and like that in there. Once everything's moved around, there'll be a really big space up here where those boxes and stuff can live stacked. So I want to move possibly just those 2, but probably these 3 units. Well, so this is a double, this is a single, so these 2 units, but these 3 sets of cubby holes, I want to shuffle those down there and then shuffle all this along so that Dad and his handyman, when it is raining outside, can build the desk. The only thing that will need to then have a new home are my mannequins, which currently, as you can see, are being used as display pieces. They get used for display at craft fairs, they get used for display in here. I do have this contraption up here where they could live, so they would be still accessible, but given how often I use them and that they're only being used for display now, I think it's a sensible idea to move things over. We've got power over there, we've got a socket up there, and then there's also a socket there, so there'll be one under the desk, one above the desk. The mirror doesn't need to move. That's the plan, which means that I'm going to need to take all of the things that are in and on all of these units off so I can move the units around, and that means lots of fabric, especially my slippery fabrics. So that one and that one particularly, and that one and that one, they're all, those 4 are super slippery. They all need to move and be out of the way, and I've got plenty of space to put all these things, you know, there's lots of space around here to do that. It's just going to be really annoying. I think it's going to be worth it, because I think having both machines set up permanently to be just turned on and used will actually mean that they get used, because at the moment I'm cutting corners and just not hemming things the way that they really should be hemmed, given that I have the equipment to do it. So yeah, I need to move everything. It'll be fine. I'm gonna put an audiobook on. That means that once this all comes down as well, that means that I can then sort of clean up there as well and log that all on Stash Hub, because that's all my much shorter cuts of vinyl and cork and bag making supplies. So yeah, it's gonna be worth doing. It's just gonna be really annoying to do. So I'm gonna get started. Wish me luck.
One eternity later.
It's kind of wild just how much stuff I had crammed into that area. I've started, so I'm going to finish. I am questioning my sanity as to whether I destroy other boxes by just moving the drawers across and leaving everything else where it is, but I really do think it'll be better, and it will just mean that everything's more flexible in being moved later on if I want to move things around again. And it's already built as a piece of furniture, so yes, I just have to shift things around. It'll be fine. It was indeed fine, but oh my goodness, chaos first. Okay, there's no going back now. This seemed like a good idea. Crazy me there. So I'm gonna move this one to here, and then I need to take, it's going to be this double one that I move over there first, and then I need to work out how this is going to go back together. It's going to be fine. Totally fine. Totally fine. Wow. I'm exhausted. I've managed to get those 3 down there. I decided all 3 is a better idea than just the double height cube, and this is then centered under that, which theoretically is a good idea. I can't remember why. I've still got my little gap for all of my horn cabinet inserts and the sewing table that comes with my Bonina, so that's good. So I'm just getting all of the things back in here. These drawers are going to be way more usable now, which is awesome. I'm going to have to move some of my decorative boxes down into there, but I needed somewhere to store the fabric so that it didn't fall over. So far so good. So there's a lot more reorganizing to do once the furniture's in place, but we'll get the furniture back into place. It is everywhere, and I can't remember the order that the drawers were in, but again, that doesn't really matter because now that they're all going to be accessible, I can rearrange them. They are in the right order and they're the ones that I use most often, but they're now going to be too far away because they used to be kind of like there. So yeah, I might rearrange the organisation in the drawers now that they're probably where they should have been for the entire 5 years we've lived here. But again, knackered. Oh, who needs the gym? But it did not all go according to plan, because of course it didn't. We have come up against our first obstacle. The 2x1 cube does fit and fits perfectly, but the light's in the way. Because of this, I can't finagle it in at an angle, so I'm not sure what to do. Because even if I moved everything over from up here, same issue, light's in the way. And it won't fit under there. Will it fit in the middle? It might fit in the middle. I wonder if it will fit in the middle. I can measure. I have measuring tapes rather than just lifting things up and trying them out. So let's see if it'll fit in there, because that could work. Okay, it does fit. I had to take that one out, wiggle it up that way, and then wiggle that one in, but it fits. Yay! So I'm obviously gonna have to be careful about what I put in here because there is clearance, but like I will have to be careful about what I put in there. And there is a cross beam back here, which is meaning that it can't go all the way back, but I don't think it's sticking out enough that either Mum or I will hit our heads on it. We didn't. We will see. Oh my goodness, I am unfit. So now I've got to kind of think about where I want everything to go. I'm seeing just how kind of like sloped our floor is and how sloped our walls are. But none of these pieces have been attached to the walls at all, and they've never fallen on our heads for the 5 years that we've been in here, which is tomorrow. It'll be 5 years. Well, I mean, technically we've had this space since May, 5 years ago, but yeah, they've lived like that far away from the wall the entire time. I suppose like little shims under this bit might help, but they've never fallen over and they've never tried to kill me, so I'm going to fill them up and ignore what's going on there. Do you have over here Kallax cube, which this is an expedite on top and that's the Kallax, and I think that would actually be small enough that I could get it in there. And then I could take that one out and put it over here with the single cube on top of it. So there'd be a 3 cube here, which is what I had previously. But then obviously there's 2 spaces that would just be sitting on top loose, which is what I had last time, which was annoying and I didn't like it. I've got to remember that I also need places to display stuff because the mannequins are going to be stored up here. They're not going, but they're going to be stored up there. Now I need to kind of think about where I want everything to live and what I'm going to do with all of the fabric, because it's all got to go back into these cubes, but I do need to try and leave like 4 down here empty. So it's the desk is going to go across here. I'm hoping this little desk will allow me to do more paper crafting more easily as well, because I would just need to like move this out of the way and put the cutting table back so that I can access all of that, and I won't have to get a desk up like I used to have to do. Much of faffing and fabric fondling later, we are almost there. I have put all my things that I want to display up there. That one's looking a bit sad and sorry for itself, so when I get some steps in here, I'll do that properly. I've also crammed in all of my teeny tiny cuts of vinyl, but I do have my 50cm and longer pieces here that used to kind of live along here, but this is now a bit too high, so I'm not sure where they're going to live. But my other vinyl is all here, so I'm not ruling out putting it in there, but I want to put it into Stash Hub before I do that. I've got one of my little inserts left over, and I'm probably going to, there's some cubes with boxes back here, so I'm going to take them out and put it in there so that it's safe. I've got the 2 empty cubby holes there. I'll have to have a play around with that, but we can do that once the desk has been put in. I'm also going to have to find a new place for this to live. This is interfacing of various different weights for bag making. A little bit of reorganizing. I think I'm happy with all the fabrics. This is still going to be the filming background, so I've got kind of like my Anaconda Anthesis collection that still is ongoing, my Leafy collection, my Make 9, and then my Colour of the Year orange collection, and that's all my viscoses, suitings. That's my kind of like projects that I want to work on immediately. I kind of wanted that out of view because it's never very neat. Coatings, all of my stretch fabrics, which will be next to the overlocker and cover stitch, which is good. Cotton lawns and heavy cottons in those ones. That's all my very short lengths for tops. Quilting cottons there, but that's my spoonflower silks and silks. Dupioni stiff silks. Then we've got laces, we've got linings, and then we've got my floopy silks, and then my kind of like polyester one. That's the only one that got a little bit kind of squiffy, as you can see, so I'm going to redo that. Then we've got bag making, which I haven't put into Stash Hub yet, and then behind the chair is like boxes and some patterns that I don't use that often because usually the clothes rail lives against that. So yeah, a little bit, tiny little bit of organisation left to do, but very pleased that I've done this, and very pleased that my little cubby hole there for putting that in is still available and present and correct. So yay. A few days later, our very lovely handyman has spent the last hour or so engineering this for us. We didn't have any MDF that was big enough as a single piece, so there's 3 pieces joined together there. We didn't have enough that it was going to be long enough to go right up to the end, which is not the end of the world. There is a little legs that side and then the IKEA legs that side, but it just means that both machines are now plugged in and their respective pedals living under there. It's actually fairly comfortable to get the chair underneath and scooted up, so I've ordered some sticky back plastic to cover this, just to give myself a slightly nicer surface and less scratchy surface for having fabric on. I can get at this cubby hole fairly easily, so that's where one of my baskets, which is my I must do these things soon projects, is in. That cubby hole back there is still empty. It might seem really strange to have my books and file folders down here, but they're easily accessible. Sorry if this is making you all feel sick. I could probably put fabric in there, to be honest, because there are some fabrics I don't need to reach for that often. I could move the other ones of my faux fur down there, or possibly even some of the coating fabrics, although I do like the 2 layers of coating fabrics together, and those 3 layers are all jerseys, and that's my need to be done soon projects. Yeah, there's a whole cubby hole back there that realistically could have fabric in it. This does stick out a little bit because of the size of the pieces of MDF that were there, so this table needs to shuffle just out just by a couple of inches, which makes that end a little bit more tight, but it's not completely undoable, so it's not the end of the world. So now I need to take my mannequins completely apart. I've done one, I need to do the other one, and then I need to find a home for that interfacing. I think the cover stitch will get used much more often now because it's not a giant, like I have to bring it down and do it kind of a thing. I'm thinking I might change this, because as lovely as this was with the stuff in front of it, this wall now could do with like a pegboard or something there rather than just decoration. These are all postcards from Nova and the New Moon. That is the Playboy calendar from 2012. I've got a thing right over Hugh Hefner, and that's me there. So those decorations up the top can stay, but yeah, I think this space would probably benefit from something like a pegboard, and I am going to be doing an IKEA order. That probably would be a good thing to do with that rather than just decoration. That could go on the wall. Apparently that can be wall mounted. Yes, in fact that's a very good idea, because that leaves more space up here for stuff. Because we all know I have a lot of stuff. Oh, why do I have so much stuff? Yeah, but yay, desk. Cool. Far too many minutes later. It was a little bit drama laden, but we've managed to mount it to the wall. It just needed 3 of us to get it done. But yay, that looks pretty. The finishing touches. Also, I thought the sticky back plastic has arrived a little earlier than expected, which is nice, and it's definitely wide enough. Hopefully it's long enough. I am going to see how I can go about covering this without having to move it too much, although maybe it would be a good idea to unscrew the legs and put it on the table, but the table is very full again, so maybe not. We'll see. Fingers crossed this works. It worked! sort of. Did have a full start with it to begin with. I tried to do it from this end, and there's a join right about there. So there's a join down, no, so yes, there's a join right down the middle to about here. And it was proving very difficult to get it flat over that central join. So I changed my mind, cut that bit off and came down this end and did it. I didn't have a squeegee credit card to hand, so I've done my best with it. I've tried to make neat corners and hopefully it doesn't unpeel, but that looks so much better. Very, very happy with how that looks. That roll cost £9 and I do have a little bit left over because it was 60 centimeters deep by 2 meters long, and even with the false start there's still a decent little chunk left. So yay, very happy with that. It just, yeah, it does look so much better than the raw MDF. So you'll be seeing my office revamp soon. The office is a surprisingly big room with surprisingly little storage, so I had to place an IKEA order for a few bits and pieces just to make it a little bit more functional for all of us and a little tidier. I do like a tidy work environment. Whilst I was placing that IKEA order, it meant that I could get another 2x1 Calyx unit to even out the space behind me, and it now looks like this. I thought you would enjoy a 360 of the room, so you're as dead center as you can be, and that is our new door, which has a lovely window in it, which is why I couldn't put a mirror on the back of the door as lots of people suggested. Moving around, we have the very lovely new window, and if I scroll up a bit we have TV and then all of the panels that Nimue sent me that I have turned into bunting. Here is a desk which has teeny tiny little legs on it and is rested on top of a lot of Alex drawer units and one cupboard. These all have like scrap fabrics in them sorted into colour. They've got Bernina parts for my machine, Bernina parts for Mum's machine. We have our own drawer each so they don't get messed up. Narrow products, we've got trims, there's elastics, all sorts of things like that. In the decorative boxes along here is all my bag making supplies. Got a lot of the lovely bits and pieces that you guys have sent me over the years, and my printer. So carry on moving around. This is Mum's corner, and we've got Mum's machine. There's another chest of drawers underneath that. Is the wider Alex one. That's where Mum keeps all of her stuff, and we've got a little 1x1 cube there with some of Mum's threads in it, Mum's patterns and quilting books, and Mum's fabric stash. We keep moving around. More of Mum's fabric stash. Keep moving around and we're going to get to my side of the room, or my 3/4 of the room. They start here with these two bookcases. These are all of my traced and PDF printed patterns, and then I bought some extra shelves for thread, but I stupidly forgot to buy the last two. So this little area is not completely finished yet. I did used to keep all of my threads in the CD towers, which are in this corner, but the available shelves that I had for the threads only came to here and it wasted all of the storage down the bottom. So I moved my paper patterns back because they were living in here and these were living in the Calyx units back here. And so things have moved around. It's a very fluid situation. Things move around in here quite a lot. I do enjoy the kind of moving of things about because it lets me refresh my memory about what I've got, and it also hopefully kind of uses space slightly better when I work out that something's not the most economical use of the space that's available. Moving to the back wall, which is now symmetrical, and we have my new Calyx unit up in the top there, and it was small enough that it would just slot in. I didn't have to take anything out and maneuver it in, which was very pleasant, because the one over here is an expedite unit, so it's slightly thicker, and yeah, that one I had to take furniture out and kind of like oik it up that way, but it is all now very symmetrical, which is very, very nice. I have this unit up here which was supposed to store Christmas decorations and ended up not really being used for that because we had room for them somewhere else. So it now houses the two mannequin bodies and one of the supports for the mannequin, and then there's a little shelf right above you that has more of the soft toys and things that you guys have made and sent me over the years. Again, moving all the way around, we have lots of storage boxes with lots of pretty things in, lots of fabric. This is the corner that sparked all of this change. I now have the thread rack mounted to the wall. That was fun. It needed 3 of us to get that done. The cover stitch and overlocker now in their beautiful new covers. Again, there will be a video for that coming soon. I still managed to keep all of my Playboy calendar and my Taylor Swift postcards and stuff up, so I really like how that corner looks. This is the kind of setup with the sewing machine being used, but as I mentioned, this little part of my horn cabinet actually tucks in and folds down and goes underneath this part here, and then the chair, which is from FlexiSpot. And if you're looking for an amazing office chair that you will spend a lot of time sitting in, this one is absolutely amazing. I highly recommend it. But this actually fits and tucks in under the new desk that's there, and the chest of drawers is still underneath, so that storage hasn't been lost either, which is nice. The cubby holes under here, this one has got all of my viscose Maricane. I think I've got 30 meters in stock at the moment, so that's all living under there because it's something that I don't need all the time, but it's easy enough to access, which is awesome. Then if we swing around, I have my pile of cut out and half sewn projects. I also have a pile here of things that need to be done a little bit more urgently. I also have a pile of offcuts from the things that I have made so far this year, and then this is another Calyx unit. This is a 5x5 that we bought 4.5 years ago when we moved in to house all my paper crafting stuff. There is quite a lot of paper crafting stuff in there. And then if we swing back around, that's where the scissors and rotary cutters ended up getting stored, and there's a gap between those two because there is a plug back there, which means that this could not go over any further, and this ended up being a really sensible place to keep the scissors because it's easily accessible for both Mum and I. And then we are back round to the front door. We have the very lovely Muttley up there. This is a box of projects of things that I want to alter and change, but none of them are super urgent or something that's going to happen anytime soon, so they can live up there out of the sun. And then we have a 4x1 Calyx unit with a 1x1 Expedit on top, with again more paper crafting things in there. This cupboard holds things like bolts of fabrics, stabilizers for embroidery, my embroidery hoops, threads, things like that. And then back right round to where we started. I love how this little mini revamp has turned out. I do think that the overlocker and more importantly the cover stitch will be used much more often now because they're going to be so much more easily accessible. I've even created their very own beautiful covers, and there'll be a video coming very shortly on how I did that. I really like the symmetry that the back wall now has. I don't know why it didn't occur to me before that I could do this with the furniture that I had. I think it was one of those times where you couldn't see the wood for the trees and just get everything in and get it done and get it organized. And as I say, the room worked very well for me for 4.5 years. I love the fact that all of my drawers in this unit behind me are now way more accessible, which means I can store things in them that I reach for more often. Previously they had been kind of a convenient storage cubby hole to stick all of my scrap fabrics to be dealt with later. I've had to deal with that problem now, and I do have some ideas of how to use all the scrap fabrics that I generate, but that's a video for another day. If you would like a more detailed tour of the sewing room as I've done previously, let me know in the comments section down below. I've gone through the things that I have very thoroughly in previous sewing studio tours, and I'll link those both up here and also in the description down below. I don't think I've added any new equipment. The only new things that have come in is new fabrics, which I think you probably have seen in all of the fabric hauls that I've done. Again, they'll be linked in the description down below too. But if there's something that you would desperately like to know and I don't seem to have covered it in another video, please let me know in the comments section and I'll go into more detail, because the one thing we all know about me is that I do love to waffle. I hope you've enjoyed this look into how we turned this outbuilding into the fabulous and wonderful space that it is now. If you've enjoyed this video, you might want to check out this one here.